Hi, my name is Ben Youngbaer. I work at Dobra Tea in Burlington, Vermont, and I'm going to teach you guys how to brew loose leaf tea. So the tea that I'm going to brew today is a yellow tea, and I keep it in a metal tin. It keeps it fresh. It'll keep it fresher if it has like a double sealed lid, but if you just have something that's like nice and tight, airtight, that's fine. It'll keep the tea fresh for quite a while. And I usually use like a nice rounded scoop. This is just like a traditional tea scoop. And I'm just gonna put that here just so you can look at the tea leaves. And you can tell a good quality tea leaf by the uniformity of the leaves. If the tea leaf is, long and then short and then broken, it's not a very good pick. But if they're all like the same size, then it's a really good pick, and it was taken care of as it was plucked. I'm using white porcelain cups for a couple of reasons. Number one, they have white so you can see the color of the infusion, the liquor of the tea, so you can see if it's brewed nicely. You can tell a lot about the color of the brew, and if we are brewing a yellow tea in this case, it's going to have like a pale greenish color to it, not quite yellow, but a little emerald with maybe a hint of golden caramel. So the first step is to boil your water. So I can put the kettle on and let that go while I set up the rest of my teaware, everything that I'm going to be using for the next brew. But most of the stuff is out here, so we can just wait and enjoy the water boiling. So this is my electric kettle. A lot of people use electric kettles because they're really efficient. They boil water in probably half the time as they do like with the over the stove kettle. But if you just have the stove, that's fine too. All that matters is that you boil the water before you brew your tea. So the water is boiled, and the first thing that we're going to do is warm up our teapot and our cups. The reason we warm up the pot and the cups is so that the vessel will be the right temperature for the water that we're going to use for the tea. And also, when you put the water into the cups, it does the same thing for the cups when you pour out the tea. And then we're going to put the tea leaves into the warmed teapot. So I'm just going to cycle the water a couple of times to make sure that the water is the right temperature so that we don't ruin the tea. Every time you do this, if you just like pour your tea or pour the water, from pitcher to pitcher, from a high distance, it cools the water down, 2 or 3 degrees between each pour. All the oxygen that's getting in there just cools it down a little bit. So it just speeds up the process rather than just waiting for it to cool down by itself. So we can brew our tea now. So you can just pour it right over the leaves all the way up to the top of your pot. And for this tea, we're going to brew it for about a minute. And that's from like the time that you start pouring until the time that you pour the water in until the time you pour the tea out. And this is enough to pull the flavor out of the tea without pulling all of the flavor out, so you can have further infusions of it. So we recommend that for most yellow teas. Sometimes Chinese greens will need to be brewed a little bit longer. It really depends on what type of tea. You can tell a lot by the leaf and how long it needs to brew, based on leaf size. So after about a minute, you can start pouring your tea, and you can see if the color looks right. If it does, keep pouring. If it doesn't, start over.